All right, thanks for joining in today on Dusty DIY. Appreciate you tuning into the channel. Today we actually are just gonna build some simple picture frames. Today we're gonna build the frames out of, I got some basswood. The reason why we like working with basswood a little bit, it's not got very many knots in it. It's really soft wood, easy to sand, so we can quickly sand those frames up and get them finished. Basically what I did so far was I planed this board and put a nice edge joint on it, on the joiner. So we have one good edge to work with. And we're gonna run this through the table saw. We're gonna do butt joints on those today where it's basically square cuts on the chop saw to make it a little bit easier. And then we'll run some material through the table saw, hopefully join those together and make some simple picture frames. Okay, first thing we did once we got our supplies in the shop, we actually just drew up our picture here and kind of get an idea of what we're doing. Right here, we actually have some pictures. We're gonna do 3 of them that are 20 by 16. And we decided we want a mat around it, a 4-inch mat on the bottom, 2-inch on the side. So we just did our math calculations here basically. And then we're doing a 2-inch frame, just a 2-inch wood frame around it. So what we did was we calculated the overall size of our picture and our matting together. And then we added 2 inches to the outside and then subtracted a half because we're going to put a 1/4-inch dado around the inside edge. Okay, the next step we're gonna do after we've got our drawing done, kind of know what length and size we need the different pieces of lumber, we're actually going to just make sure we have enough material. And basically, I just kind of calculated on here, just tentatively draw them on the board, just to know that you have enough for your stock, where you're gonna cut it. I always like to mark it out before I start cutting it up. Next, we're gonna move over to the table saw. We're gonna turn it on. We're gonna do 2-inch strips for our frame and just make simple straight strips for now out of the material into 2-inch. Okay, we have all of our 2-inch stock cut and looks really nice. 2-inch by, we're 1-inch. It wouldn't matter how thick your frame is. Today we left this material right at 1-inch. And basically what we're gonna do next is we're going to dado out the corner. We're gonna take a 1/4 by 1/4 dado out of the very corner of this. I set the saw up right here 1/4 inch so that when the blade cuts off, it's cutting a 1/4 inch right off the corner. So basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna run these lengths of material through one direction like that, and then I'm gonna rotate them and cut the other way through, and so it's gonna cut a little corner off out of this. I will show you. All right, we just got done running them through the table saw, and basically if you notice, we have a really nice 1/4 by 1/4 dado in the corner, basically by running it through one way, rotating it, running through another. You could actually make this dado any size that you want. If you have glass in your picture frame, you may want to make it a little bit taller dado, one way to accept glass and a mat depending on how thick you are. Today we're only going with a piece of, we're backing it with a piece of masonite, and we are basically got a mat in front of that. So we just went 1/4 by 1/4. We feel like that's about the depth of our dado that we want. So next we're gonna basically cut these on the chop saw to length, butt joints. A little bit easier, a little bit simpler look than some of the miters that we could be doing. Lucky for us today, we have this really nice setup right here of a chop saw. You could do it on any chop saw, or just make sure your cuts are nice and square. Luckily we have a little jig, so we're gonna hurry and whip out the lengths of the picture frames that we need. Make sure and measure twice, 3 times, and then cut once so that you don't make a mistake. But we basically measured this out. I've got the jig set up. We're gonna just chop up into our frames really quickly. Okay, we have our frame layout here. We're actually building 3 of them that look like this right here. And we got our dados cut in the back, and we're just doing a butt joint frame. So the sides are gonna look just like this. We decided to make the top and the bottom the longer portion of the frame. The sides will go inside. I like to just drill a hole through the frame here. And basically we're just gonna put a little glue on the end here, wood glue, and basically we're just going to glue that like that, and I'll run a screw in just to hold it so it can dry. So what I do is I take an 1/8 inch bit right here and basically drill the frame all the way through making sure that it will grab into the beef of the frame right here. So what I am doing right here is just lining up the boards and drilling them with an 1/8 bit on the end. And then after I get those drilled, I go ahead and countersink them with a countersink bit. So I'm using a 3-inch grabber screw on the bottom. And by drilling them and countersinking them like that through the bottom and top, you never do see the screw when you're done. So it's a good way to hold them together while you are building them so they can dry and making it stronger. Basically right here we're using clamps to hold them square while I run the screw in, just to hold the frame where it needs to be. Once I've run the screws in, I can take the clamps off and let them dry. Seems to work really well. The next step now is we're going to cut a piece of masonite on the table saw that will fit right in the back of this frame, because we want to back it with something nice. We got 1/8 inch masonite today, so we're going to go ahead and do that. All right, now that we got our frame built, looking really nice, and we have our backing that we're going to put inside the frame. Perfect fit. And we're going to go ahead and put a mat and a picture. We're going to show you the end result of that today. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to sand these up a little, and we're actually just going to put a little light stain on them. Some golden oak stain on those. Okay, right here I went and got a little spray lacquer and just spray lacquered the finish to give it a little bit of a shine and protect the finish. Alright, back here to our picture frames right here, and we're going to put a little bracket on them. I found these little brackets like this. They're really pretty simple. They don't require any screws or nails in this basswood. It works really nice. Basically, I marked some marks here where I'm going to put them. I'm going to put 2, one on each side. That way your picture doesn't teeter, even though you have to mount it to the wall 2 times. And then I just mark where I want those. And that basswood is soft enough I can just push them down in. They just have a little tab that pushes down in. Next step is putting your mat in, and then we're going to go ahead and put this nice masonite backing we built for it. And we need something to pin the masonite into the frame. I actually have these little push points, glazing points. They work really nice in this soft wood. I just take a chisel and push them in right here. Thanks for joining in today on Dusty DIY. We made these simple frames. They ended up turning out really great for just an easy, quick frame for the holiday, whatever you got to do. Please like and subscribe and leave any comments below. And be sure to hit that bell notification.